Welcome to 41 Today Lifestyle, everyone. I'm Troy Thompson. I'm in the studio today with Dr. Stevenson from Optim Neurosurgery, and today we're talking about a conversation that we have all had over the summer, and it's about concussion. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, thanks.
Okay, explain to everyone at home, before we dig too deep, an overview of concussion and what it actually is.
Okay, concussion is a minor but real traumatic injury to the brain. And unlike bruising or broken bones, you don't actually see anything like if you do an MRI. What it is the signals in the brain are just not functioning properly, although there's not a big bruise or blood clot on the brain.
That was going to be my question. How do we know if we have concussion?
It's largely a clinical diagnosis.
Okay.
And, you know, as a neurosurgeon, that's what I do. So it's by and large clinical. If I ever have a question, you might get a CAT scan or an MRI. But most concussions are diagnosed just examining the patient.
All right. I don't want to necessarily call out any sports in particular, but I just want to say, let's just say we hit our head and we seem to be okay. But a few hours later, we start vomiting, or are these signs, or feeling lightheaded? What are some of the signs that you may have been given a concussion several hours after the event?
Typically speaking, the scenario you've just painted would concern me for bleeding in the brain.
Oh.
Being completely okay and then several hours later starting to go downhill.
Right.
Most concussions, the symptoms are immediate. And the symptoms are kind of a dazed feeling, the patient just kind of looking off into space, trouble concentrating, and they tend to be immediate, whereas the scenario you painted as a neurosurgeon would concern me that there's bleeding.
Trust me to go dig deep.
Yes, well, you went right to it.
I went straight to the point.
Right.
All right, now we've talked about concussions. We know some of the sports out there that can cause concussions, maybe, you know, football or soccer or contact sports, right?
Well, not necessarily. The number one sport that causes concussions is football. Do you know what the number two is?
Skateboarding?
Female soccer.
Go away.
That's before ice hockey. That's before...
Well, we're the number one team, aren't we, in America now?
Yeah, I guess we are. But,
yeah.
But that's not because we do great with concussions.
Well, here's interesting. I've often thought about that because they're always hitting their head on the ball.
That's just it. It's not sports necessarily that cause the concussion. If you get in a fender bender in the parking lot and your head gets jostled about, that can cause a concussion. Falling down the stairs, falling off the swing on the playground, anything that jostles the head can cause concussion. So I think it's important to realize that sports aren't to blame for concussion. Sports are one way you can get a concussion, but it's not the only way.
Yeah, because I said, you know, I used to be a show jumper with horses, and even though I wore the helmet, they weren't very protective, not really. If I fell and hit my head on the ground, I'd still probably get a concussion.
Right, and you don't even need to hit your head. Like I said, if you're
jolt.
Any shaking of the head can cause a concussion.
Where do you stand on conversation about schools saying all children should stay away from contact sports?
I disagree. Now, I'm a neurosurgeon. My two boys play football, they wrestle, and they play lacrosse. And I understand that even the best coached athlete can have a concussion. But if you're going to say, don't let your kid play a contact sport because I don't want my kid to have a concussion, you also should not let your child be in a motor vehicle.
Yeah.
You shouldn't let them walk up and down stairs. You shouldn't let them go to the playground. So I think...
Live in a bubble.
Right, but it's coaching and proper technique to minimize the risk.
Very quickly, doctor, we've got to go. If someone assumes or feels that their friend or someone has a concussion, what's the step that they need to do immediately?
The immediate step is to be looked at by a medical professional who knows concussion. So whether that's an urgent care facility, whether that's an ER, get checked out to make sure it isn't something more serious, and from there, get hooked up with a real concussion specialist for treatment.
All right, we appreciate. I really like this conversation. Let's talk more about it. Huh?
Okay, good.
We appreciate you. If you want to find out more information about Dr. Stevenson, there it all is up on the screen for you. Optim Neurosurgery. They will take care of all your needs. Back after this short break, everyone.